All right. Hello, everyone out there. We'll get started in just a few minutes. My name is Anthony Ray. I'm one of the attorneys here at Shelby Law International. Okay. How's everyone doing out there? Um, let's see. Let me do a check on the mic with my tech Jen. She's gonna um, can you hear me out there? Yep. Sound is good? Awesome. So, as we get started and wait for people to come in, today's not going to be long. I say it's not going to be long. There's a lot to cover, a lot of material, but we're really going to just go over it very quickly. Our main topic today is, alternatives to the H-1B. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about H-1Bs becoming very challenging since a lot of people, if they're outside the U.S., have to pay $100,000, and not every U.S. employer can do that. So today, we're going to talk about alternatives. But before we get to that, there's a lot of topics out there. A lot of stuff is going on with immigration. Um, I found out that a lot of people who watch our videos, some are for immigration. They're excited about what's happening here in the United States. Others are saddened by it and or against it. So, you know, thank you both for joining. Hopefully, whether you're for immigration or against immigration, you can get something from our videos. Our purpose is not to be political, but to just kind of state what really is going on and what people are experiencing. So, a couple things. There's a lot of hot topics going on. I don't have time to touch them all, but the one thing I did want to touch on, and we'll probably touch on the travel ban in next month. But that's the main thing, the new travel ban, with 75 countries being impacted by the administration's travel ban, which I believe goes into effect today. So, um, unfortunately, when you really look at the travel ban, what the administration is putting forth as the reason for banning these individuals is misplaced. It's a misrepresentation. And after doing this for over 25 years, I've done thousands of these. I've worked with a lot of people, and I see it on a day-to-day basis. So, whether you want to believe what the media shares with you or the administration shares, or what us immigration attorneys handle on a day-to-day basis with 20, 25, 30 years of experience, you have to make that decision. But when it comes to the travel ban, one of the really devastating things that we see is the administration is not necessarily banning people from visiting the US, but they're banning US citizens and green card holders from petitioning their spouses and their children. Now, I don't know if you agree with that. If you agree with banning spouses of US citizens and children of US citizens, please comment in the chat. Let us know why you feel that way. Don't just say, hey, all foreigners should be out of the US, but give us your background. Let us know why you feel that way. We want to hear both sides. I'll share why I think that's devastating and how that is really not in the best interest. One of the main things is, one, when you have a spouse or a child that comes over, that individual is vetted very carefully. One, you want to make sure they're actually related. They're going to check the marriage certificate. They're checking birth certificates. They're always doing background checks. So, especially when people are coming in. Oh, one of the main things about this travel ban, it really impacts those outside the US. And next time we talk, in February, we'll talk about ways of getting around this. But for right now, that's what it's banning. Those individuals outside the United States who are married or engaged and they're trying to get their fiance or their spouse in the US. How do we get around that? Those people are impacted. And it's 75 countries right now. Will this expand? It's all up to the administration. But one of the things, as I mentioned, spouses and children are screened. There's background checks, there's all their history. They're also tied to a US citizen. So the chances of spouses of US citizens causing a problem here in the United States is virtually unheard of. And I don't think that's our main concern. And if there are cases, you'll find that it's minuscule when you compare it to the larger economy, the country, and everything that's going on. Immigration as a whole is minuscule for all the other social issues and problems that we really need to tackle and overcome, such as healthcare and social security and defense spending and all kinds of things that we need to focus on. Immigration is just really a minuscule part of our overall economy. The second aspect that I wanted to touch on is the administration put forth that these individuals would take advantage of public resources, your tax dollars. And it's been mentioned on the news and newspapers. That is not the case. Before foreign nationals can even come to the United States, the US citizen or the sponsor, the green card holder, has to guarantee that this person will not use public funds. And if they do, the government can go back to the US citizen and reimburse the government. So there is absolutely no financial risk to US citizens. And even if it was in an emergency situation, the government, if they wanted to, they have everything in place to go after the US citizen or green card holder to get reimbursed. So even if a foreign national, such as a spouse or a child of a US citizen or a green card holder, uses some kind of federal funds, which they can't because it's already blocked, but let's say they do, they slip through the system. There are ways for the government already in place to get that back from the US citizen. So our politicians, when they created this system, our immigration system, they have already thought about these problems. Part of what we see in immigration is enforcing the laws that are already there. There's no need for a travel ban. There's no need for the security risk. We do the screening. And it's very strange that we would ban spouses and children of US citizens and green card holders and not tourists. Help me make that I don't help me make that make sense. Put your comments in the chat. I want to hear whether you're for the travel ban or against, and then kind of give us a few sentences and reasons of why you feel that way. I think it's a disservice. It does impact our clients. And to give you an example, especially those from Nigeria and many others, Haiti and Bahamas and all these places, these people have created a family together. They're married. They have a long-term relationship. They want to commit. I mean, getting in a relationship, as everyone knows, is tough as it is. But once you find that person, you want to grow and build that. Now the government is blocking that. And I really would like US citizens to take compassion on their own brothers and sisters, US citizens here in the US and green card holders. We need to support each other. The travel ban doesn't do that. Okay. It doesn't provide additional safety measures when tourists and work visas people can still come in. Just help me make sense of all that. I would love to hear your comments. Okay. Anyways, that's one of the main topics that I wanted to touch on that's of current event. It's going to be with us for a while until our current administration changes that. Other than that, that's the main thing. If you have questions today, again, for those who are just joining, again, my name is Anthony Ray. I'm one of the immigration attorneys here at Ray Law International. I've been practicing over 25 years. I have a passion for helping people. Right now, there's a lot of people out there that need help. As soon as I'm done with this live stream, I got to jump back into it. There is so much work that needs to be done, and the administration is adding to our workload with all the challenges, stress, and fear that is being created. Now, today, our topic, let's put that on the screen. Go ahead, Jen. We're going to be talking about alternatives to H-1Bs. Why are we talking about alternatives to the H-1B? Because our administration recently tacked on a $100,000 fee in order for people to benefit from the H-1B. Right now, it is focused on people who are outside the US, but what that essentially does is those individuals who want to travel outside and want to come back in, let's say they got their H-1B and they go out and they want to come back in, company or the individual has to show that they paid $100,000. Is that practical for medium to small businesses? No. Are there lawsuits out there? Yes. Is it going to be done in time? Probably not. We have the H-1B lottery coming up in March. And, even if there's a judge that tries to block it, oftentimes what we've seen is those things, that order or ruling is stayed until the higher court makes a decision. Time is not on our side when it comes to H-1Bs. So because of that, I still encourage employers to file for, register for the H-1B registration, put your name in the hat. You don't know what's going to happen. Oftentimes, as we saw during the recession, when there's no work or employers aren't hiring, then there's, H-1Bs are available, or, meaning no one's going to hire H-1Bs if there's no work for them. Okay. That's what we saw from the recession. And we could see even now, depending on what side you're on, are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? It really depends on where you are at in this US economy, unfortunately. But today we're going to talk about alternatives. And there are several. Now, the trick is, or the challenge is that H-1B is so central for specialty occupations or people with four-year degrees. It is right on point if you're an engineer, lawyer, doctor, scientist, computer systems analyst, whatever you are, your field or specialty is, this is the best category. It is on point. And that's why most of the cases, if all of them get approved, don't go yet. Don't go yet. We don't want to go back. Yeah. All these other alternatives require additional work, additional stress, and additional cost. So we're going to look at those. Let's go to the next slide and see what options we have. So today we're going to touch base on a couple options. We're going to look at the L visa, the O visa, the E visa, and green card options on both employment and family-based sides as alternatives for the H-1B. Let's see what we have. What do we have first? Let's go to our next slide. All right. And bear with me. We have really bad weather up here in the Midwest with a lot of snow and bitter cold. So it's been a very busy morning. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to talk about L1s. L1s are intercompany transferees. O1s are for individuals with extraordinary ability. E visas, E1s, E2s, and E3s. This is where there's a treaty in place, and we'll talk about those. And then we'll talk about employment-based green card options through your employer or national interest waiver. And we'll talk about marriage and family-based. Again, we're just skimming over this. The best thing to do is to make a consultation, reach out to us, and see how we can help in your specific case. Too many times we get calls and people are just saying, well, how much do you charge? And so much more goes into it, especially when the government is throwing roadblocks up on a monthly, sometimes weekly basis. Whatever you may get the cheapest immigration fee, but that's not going to get you the results you're looking for if you don't talk to your immigration attorney to find out what's the best option. And when that option gets shut down, like we have with the travel ban, how do we get around that? What's my alternative? And that's why, in this case, that's what we're looking at. Let's go to our next slide. So H-1B is not the only option. H-1B is still a lottery. Well, it's a lottery system. The administration just introduced a new selection process where essentially they're going to give it to the people who have the most money. Okay? So if you're a counselor and you're getting paid 40, 50,000, your chances of being selected is greatly reduced. If you're getting paid 100, 150 or above, then your chances are greater. So, unfortunately, for all those individuals who do not live in a high salary area, such as California, New York, some places in Texas and Chicago, or you're not in the IT industry where you can command a high salary. We're doing H-1Bs that are 130, 150. If you cannot demand or command that sort of salary, your chances of actually getting the H-1B through the new selection process is very limited. Um, so planning early, we start working with our employers now for H-1Bs for the lottery, for the selection process. You are encouraged to put your name in the hat. If you are selected, you are going to need to face, you know, hopefully you're selected. It's going to depend on the salary and wage, but of what you're asking for. But more importantly, um, if you ever want to leave the United States, is your employer or are you willing to dish out 100,000 in order to come back to the United States and continue to work? Let's go to that next one. All right, let's jump into the L1 visas. I love the L1. We just talked with a new client who's we're bringing on board about the L visa and how that's going to help their company transition to the United States. How the L works, it's for multinational companies. Basically, you need to have um, a company established abroad, you establish a location in the US, and you transfer employees to the US. Under the L1, um, let's see, the nice thing about it and listed here is there's no cap like the H-1B. It's all year round, very little limitation as far as numerical limitations. So it's an all around good one. You do have to jump through a lot of hoops. You have to have a company set up, you have to have a real business and have it operating. However, if you can meet those requirements, you can bring people in all day long. Okay. All right. Next, L1, executive or managerial. Okay. It has to be executive or managerial position. For smaller companies, we tend to use managerial and essential employees under the L1. I'm sorry, employees with specialized knowledge. We'll talk about them in a minute. Um, Managers have to supervise other managers or professionals. Nice thing about the L1A for executives and managers is it's valid up to 7 years. The downside of that is you can't extend it beyond the 7 years, which is nice that you have with the H-1B because if you had a green card case pending under the H-1B, you can extend it beyond the 6 year limit. However, under the L1A or when we talk about the L1B, you cannot extend it beyond the um, limited years that's granted. 7 for the L1A and 5 for the L1B. Let's go to the L1B. Whoops. Oh, we're still in the executive managers. That's fine. Again, 7 years. We work with our employee. Was just speaking with a potential client about, what does managerial look like here in the United States and making sure things are set up so that it meets requirements. All too often, what you may think is managerial in your company or is not managerial in your company, it is considered a managerial position for immigration purposes. So getting the know-how and the um, information needed to be successful is key. That's why you hire an immigration attorney to guide you through this. Let's go to the next one. L1Bs. L1Bs, specialized knowledge. This is a great one for individuals that have particular knowledge about the company abroad that they're bringing to the United States that's not readily available anywhere else. Now, in the US, it tends to be challenging. When we say challenging, when you look at the approval rates, it may be 70, 80%. On the immigration side, What we like to see is 99%. However, L1B sometimes can be challenged here in the US. For those companies that can, there is a L, blanket L, meaning you can apply directly at the US Embassy. In those cases, we see a higher rate of approval because the Department of State generally has a more um, reasonable definition of what specialized knowledge is as compared to the USCIS. But under the L1B is valid for up to 5 years. And like I said, it's heavily scrutinized. So it is an option. Nice things, some of the pros about the L's, as we mentioned, there's no lottery. L's are dual intent, just like the H-1Bs and the O's. Um, spouses and children get L2 status. That's their category. Spouses of L1 holders and L2 are authorized to work immediately. Hopefully that will continue. That's a benefit. And once you sort of meet the requirements for the L1A category, that does set you up for the green card process under the EB1C, which is multinational executives or managers. Okay, that's another perk for Ls. All right, let's take a look at O visas. And for everyone out there, thank you for joining us. If you have immigration questions, go ahead, drop those in the chat. We would love to hear from you. Also, let us know where you're listening from. Put your country or state of where you're listening in from. If you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, doesn't matter. Just put that in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And more importantly, we're here for you, giving you guys information and letting you know and seeing how we can help you better. If there's topics or interests, please put them in the chat or reach out to us. Our phone number is there. Feel free to give us a call. We're here to help, and people need a lot of help right now. All right, let's look at the O1 visa, extraordinary ability. Now, nice thing about the O, again, no lottery. It is dual intent, and I believe in certain circumstances, spouses can work. Strong path for EB1s. For the EB1 category, one of our clients, especially, it may not be necessarily on point for EB1C, but more importantly, EB1A. We have certain people who are Olympians or certain scientists, renowned scientists. These individuals really are qualified for the O1A, for example, and then they easily move into the EB1A, actually. So we look at both options. We did this with a person at a university last year, went very smoothly. They're here with their green card, their whole family, everyone's happy. So it can happen, O1A and then the EB1A instead of C. All right, let's go back. I think I jumped one. Now, what are some evidence that we use when we file O1As, O1 or O1s? There is O1Bs in the motion pictures and arts as well. Awards, honor, media coverage, contributions. If you have a high salary, that helps a lot as well. And expert recommendations are key. Be careful. Make sure that your O1 is put together very well and will last for the duration. So O1s are a great option. Again, no lottery for the O's. Let's go to the next one. There's no lottery. Flexible employment structures. There's many things you can do with that. Renewable indefinitely, and it can be the stepping stone to the EB1A as we just mentioned. Let's go to the next one. E-visa is one of my favorites. Under the E-visa, there's 3 categories, E1, E2, and E3. E3 are for our Australian friends, and especially occupations under E3. But more importantly, what we'll talk about today are the E1 and E2. E1 visas are for the treaty traders, where the majority of the trade is between the US and that foreign country. And the E2s are treaty investors, okay? Under this one, that's where the people are investing money. We just went to the E1. We're just talking about Trade, majority or substantial trade must be with the US globally at all times. We tend to put people in the E2 rather than the E1, but some people like that E1. Um, you have to keep that trade going, and then um, I would just get you into E1. If you're already investing money in the US, E2 is a lot easier. You show one-time investment, and that lasts you the life of the E, and you don't have to keep updating your trade numbers and maintaining that, especially in an economy where we have tariffs and things are changing all the time. E2 is a lifeline and a blessing to many, many companies. Um, Under the E2, substantial investment, depending on what kind of business you have. A lot of people keep asking, Mr. A, how much do I need to invest? Is it 5,000, 20,000, 100,000? Some attorneys set a threshold of 100, some 50,000. Each attorney has their own threshold, and it really depends on the business. And that is usually hashed out or decided when we start looking at your business plan. Whenever you talk about the E2 visa, make sure you come to the immigration attorney with a business plan. Have something written down on paper, even if it's handwritten. What's your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goals for your business? How's it going to be financed? That allows us to discuss with you and see if this is actually something that is going to work under the E2 category, or whether we just go back to the L. No minimum amount for the investment. Okay. I like to see at least 50,000 for smaller companies. Some people, like some attorneys like to have 100,000. It really depends on the business and the plan. What does it look like in year one? How much growth? Who are we supporting? There's many elements to it. Are we getting a franchise, for example, as opposed to starting up a business from scratch that may take years to develop? All right, let's look at the next one under the advantages of E visa. No lottery, renew indefinitely. Spouses can work immediately, just like the L2s, and is very excellent for startups. The downside to the E1 and E2, it does require that there be a treaty between the US and your country. This could be a blessing because there's many countries that have that. However, in today's environment where we have tariffs, we have immigration under attack, are treaties going to be challenged next? Will that impact immigration? We don't know. So I'm encouraging people, not only are we looking at alternatives for the H-1B, but you need to have backups in every area in case the government or the US government utilizes these treaties, immigration, in order to try to gain leverage to achieve something else. So we can't predict the future, but we can plan to help give certainty to your company and organization. All right. So those are the requirement or benefits or advantages of the e-visa. Let's go to the next one. Let's talk about employment-based green cards. So right now, as we just talked about the travel ban, only family members are banned from um, bringing their spouses and children to the US. However, as of today, we can still bring employment based. So, give you an example. I want to bring a sushi chef to the United States to work in the United States at my Japanese restaurant. I can still petition for them and bring them in. However, if I'm a US citizen and I want to bring my spouse over from China, for example, I can't do that right now, or I got to come up with an exception. We'll talk about exceptions at our next live stream. But this is there's 5 employment-based categories. There's many options out there. Most of these do take time. They may be costly, but it is sort of a one and done deal process, meaning once you get the green card, you're done. So these are very viable, and we don't know. Maybe it may be the only alternative to get your employee or the staffing that you need here in the United States. So let's see, what do we have for our next slide? Generally speaking, the first three preference categories are EB1, EB2, and EB3. Wait times vary. It also depends on if you're in the general category of all countries or if you're from China, Mexico, Philippines, or India. Processing times will vary. EB1s, under here we have priority workers, extraordinary ability, or extraordinary or outstanding individuals, um, outstanding professors or researchers, and then multinational executives or managers. Under the EB2, we have advanced degrees and the national interest waiver. And under EB3, there's three subcategories. We have professional, skilled workers, and other workers. There's a category for everybody. Does it take time? Yes. We've done skilled workers where people are, truck drivers, but that company needs truck drivers to come in. So we'll get those people under the EB3 category. Does it take time? Yes. But do they get the green card and are they here happily working? Absolutely. All right. Next. For the EB2 and EB3, there is a labor certification process. That process has not been shaken or tampered with too much yet. It's on the agenda of this administration to make it more difficult and to isolate the U.S. from foreign nationals coming in the U.S. Therefore, right now you have the opportunity. These are complicated, challenging processes, and it takes a lot of work. There is no quick solution. There is no quick process. And for those from India and China, sometimes the wait times under these categories can be anywhere from 7 years to 15 years or longer. So it's not a quick solution. It may be their only path. We can expect to see these rules become more strict and salaries to go up. All right. So this is part of the EB2, EB3 process for labor certification. Now let's jump to family base. If you're in the US and you get married in good faith, the key is get married in good faith. Don't do it just to get the green card. Oftentimes we'll screen people, and when we have any red flags that they're just doing this to help a friend out or get the green card, we turn them away. That's not what we're about. We're not trying to get rich off of, misleading or misrepresentation. We screen everyone that comes in our office. So if you're getting married in good faith, this may be an option for you as an alternative. We have many H-1B holders who find love and they get married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and we take them through that process. For U.S. citizens, that process can be shortened to less than a year of getting your green card. For green card holders, depending on what country you're from, it varies. It may take anywhere from a year to 2 to 3 years, depending on how long you have to wait before you can file for your green card and how long the government is processing those applications. Depending on your area in the country, for example, what we've seen is although the government states the processing times will be 9 to 10 months, we have been seeing some of our cases recently, this could change, recently getting approved in 4 to 5 months, which is great, but we can't guarantee that. The government doesn't tell us why. This is just what we're seeing right now. Again, this could change within next month in February. So getting married, come see us, talk about the options. We explore everything, employment-based, family-based, and the non-immigrant visa. That's the benefit of reaching out to Ray Law International. We have experience in all of those, and we can advise you. As we get busier in 2026, we may not be able to help everyone, but we do know some excellent immigration attorneys we can give referrals and work with in order to make sure that you're taken great care of. Under the marriage-based category, other than getting married to a U.S. citizen or being a spouse or a parent of a U.S. citizen, there are 4 main categories under the family-based preference categories. First, if their children older than 21 years old who are not married, and children of U.S. citizens who are married. brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. And then under the second family-based preference category, we have two subcategories. We have spouses and children under the age of 21 of a lawful permanent resident of a green card holder. And then we have a special category for adult children, children over the age of 21 of lawful permanent residents who are not married. It's very important that you continue to talk to your immigration and touch base with them to make sure that you stay within one of these four family-based preference categories. Let's see. All right, again, if you have questions, drop those in here. We're here to answer those. Now, which path is right for you? Each case is unique and different. Everyone has different timelines, different fact scenarios in their lives. Some people are okay with being apart as they close businesses or sell houses in their home country. Other people, they want to be together, so the sooner the better. All that is important that you plan early, reach out to us, make sure that you have a plan and strategy. That's why we provide consultations to help you reach those goals, your dreams and goals, and to navigate the immigration chaotic system that we have here. All right, so finally, there are many alternatives to the H-1B. Are they easy? Probably not, but they are alternatives. Also, with H-1Bs, I was speaking with students coming over here and studying. You have to look down the road. If there are no H-1Bs for you to work for, are you going to spend $100,000 a year and just go back home? You might be able to get your education cheaper in your home country. Talk to us. Let's talk what reality is like so that you don't spend 4 years as an international student, do your OPT, and not have any options when the H-1Bs are not available to you. There are many people that look at some of these options, alternatives, and if your company is willing or has the resources, the L1A and the O's are really good alternatives. Preparation is key, documentation, and then, of course, as we keep talking about, professional guidance. So, guys, I wanted to keep it short today and on point. There are many alternatives to the H-1B. You got a plan. It's going to be challenging. We're just stepping into the second year with with Trump 2.0, and there's going to be more challenges. We're here to guide you and help you navigate this chaotic process, stressful. Weekly, I am talking to my clients, coaching them, guiding them through all the chaos that's coming up. I'll be meeting with clients this weekend as well, trying to help them make sense of what they can do and what's the best path forward for them. So reach out to us, Ray Law International. Our phone number is 888-401-1016. It has been a joy and pleasure sharing with you today. Hopefully you found this helpful. Put some comments in the below, especially regarding that travel ban. Let us know your thoughts. And if not, you can feel free to email us, check us out on our website. And we have a lot of videos on various topics here on our YouTube channel and other social media. That's all we have for today. Thank you. There's our contact information. Thank you for joining us. We'll be having a couple live streams in February as well as we get closer to that H-1B process in case anything comes up with the litigation that changes how things will be handled for H-1Bs this year. All right. Good luck to everyone. Be safe. Until next time, stay educated. Stay on the right track, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.